Day 23 in the journal Journey of Learning. We're now configuring our secondary router, and this router acts as a redundant connection and a backup in case we lose our first router. And so this helps us to have more availability in the network in case something happens with our first router. It will allow secondary connection to the circuit and will allow the network to continue functioning. So let's take a look. Now, remember, once upon a time, in an earlier video, we talked about shortcuts. So what I've done is to place all the configuration in this secondary router. And what I would like to do at this time is to highlight the differences. So you could take the script, you could take the configuration of the first router, paste it in Notepad, and then make the necessary changes instead of typing all of these things all over again, and just make the necessary changes where you need to. The first change is what? Host name. The first router is O1, this one is O2. So ATL RT02, following our naming convention. Our next difference in the network is our loopback interface. This loopback interface is a part of the management network, and this is used to manage our device. The difference in this particular part of the configuration is the 254. So 10.10.5.254, so that we can reach this device, this secondary router, and make any changes or configuration setting changes, etc. The next one is our WAN link. The difference between the O1 and this one in the O2 for our fast Ethernet 0/0 is that the O1 has a 192.168.1.101, and so we named this 1.102. And you see how we increase it by one to keep some consistency taking place. So in the O1, we're using O1 wherever we can use, and we're using O2 in the secondary. And that helps simplify things for you. Next, in our fast Ethernet 0/1 on this router, which is connected to the core, which it allows the connection between the WAN and the LAN portion. This is connected to the core switch. So this is our uplink to the WAN from the LAN to the WAN. This is that uplink. We have given this an IP address of 3.102. So 192.168.3.102. Following that same convention or that same addressing scheme. Next, that redundant serial interface between the two routers, between the two peers. The only difference is the IP address. So we increment by what? By one. So on the other end, at the O1 end, we have 192.168.4.101. And so on the O2 end, we have 192.168.4.102. Lastly, we have two other sections, a dynamic routing protocol. We're still using EIGRP to advertise what routes that particular interface has access to. We needed to add the 192.168.3.0 network on this side of the network. And we have a couple of static IP routes, a couple of static routes in this particular router. And so if you want to reach the 10.10.5.7 portion of the network, you will have to take this particular interface, 192.168.3.104, and that is the connection to the the redundant switch in the core stack. So you have two members in that stack. This is actually connected to the second member in the stack. And if you want to reach the 10.10.5.253 resource, and guess what resource that is? That is actually our O1 router in the management network. You will need to travel to the 192.168.1.101 address, which will give you access to that. And guess what that is? That's the other end of what interface? That's the other end of the serial interface. I'm sorry, not the serial interface, the fast Ethernet interface on the other side of the router that leads to the circuit. So a couple other things I would like to demonstrate is being able to connect to all of our resources in the network, or rather devices. So let's try to ping. First, let's just try to ping this router. 10.10.2.254. That should be 5.2.4. So let's allow that to finish, and then let's correct that. That should be 5, and it's successful. Now let's ping to our O1 router, 10.10.5.253. Successful. We can reach it. Let's try to reach the core of our network. It's a 10.10.5.1. We can reach the core. Let's try to reach our access switches. The O1 access switch is 10.10.5.2. We can reach it. And the last switch is our 10.10.5.3. And we can reach that. And so everything is working. At this time, we have completed this portion of the network project. But once you reach this level, what you should think about is, what else can I do with my network? How to expand on what I've already done. And so that is where this journey will take us next. Now that we have this in place, let's expand and do more with the network. I'll see you in the next video, where we'll expand more and expand the capabilities and functionality of the network even more. Thank you. And remember always, you want to do the write memory or copy run start to save your config. But before I go, let's do one last thing. Let's test our DNS in this router, just to make sure, because when you add a configuration, you want to test it to make sure that things are working. You do not want to walk away from after making a configuration change or installing something and not test it. So let's first do bbc.com. Let's test DNS. It works. And by doing that, we also know that we can reach the internet. So let's test that. We've tested connectivity, but let's just see if we can also reach the internet. Ping.8.8.8 works. So we've been able to ping throughout the network as well as ping to the internet. I think this is successful. Another thing you would do at times is also, you might want to just try pinging devices in your VLAN as you add them. But thank you once again for joining, and I'll see you in the next video.